up guys? So we're going to be doing a deck profile here today for crawlers. This might be the third time I've been doing crawlers now for a deck profile, but this one is a very different build. It's a lot faster than the other two in a very different kind of way. It is consistent. It does kind of change things up a bit, but I won't be doing a test hand on this. If you guys actually want to know how this deck works, definitely watch the previous two test hands I've already put up. So go check out the annotation just right up here. I should link them up there, and yeah, you guys could actually just watch those particular test hand videos to understand how the deck actually operates. But for this one, it's more so just another variation. You guys are probably already familiar with how the deck works, so without further ado, let's get right into it. So to begin with monsters, we're playing two copies here of Deus Ex Crawler. This is a pretty self-explanatory card, so I'm just going to leave it up there and continue on with the three copies of Spine as well. Again, it's another staple for our deck. We definitely need it, and yeah, it's a really crucial card. On top of that, we're also playing one copy of Axon. Axon is now only at 1. If anything, I'm not going to take it out completely, but you know, it's a shame that we're not really playing 3 anymore, given that I don't really see the opponent playing back row that much these days, and because of that, I don't really have many targets. Axon at 1 is okay. If anything, I might even drop it down to 0, but just to keep it there, because obviously it's your crawler deck, I just wanted to include at least one of everyone. Moving on, we're back to playing 3 copies of Glial. Glial is again another staple card now I consider to be worth playing at 3, and I'm putting it right up here because we're actually also playing 3 copies here of Crawler Receptor. This card is the searcher for the deck, and it's also quite a crucial card, so because of that, I'm playing 3 of each, and I'll get to the reason why I'm actually forcing myself to play 3 of each, but at the same time, it's fun to actually go back to the consistent state, being able to get what I really need in whenever I want actually, and yeah, Glial and Receptor are definitely really amazing cards. Next, we're playing 2 copies here of Crawler Ranvier, and we're playing 1 copy here of Dendrite. Now for Ranvier, because we're playing a lot more crawlers, I actually do want to recuperate them from the graveyard, and yeah, Ranvier is definitely there just to get that job done. But that being said, these are now obviously our main beat sticks of the deck, because once we go into our link monsters, then these guys would actually get quite a huge boost, and they do the damage for us. I've actually bumped up the copies of World Armor to 2. I think that this card is actually quite amazing now in this particular variant, simply because there's a bit more flexibility. You have all your crawlers, yeah, that's fine and all. We're actually playing quite a heavy monster count in this particular deck, so with that, I don't really fear playing additional copies of World Armor. I think it's definitely fine as is. Obviously, you can't have well, you can't really utilize both of them because its effect is a hard once per turn, but that's okay. We just want it to be more consistent, and this is exactly what the deck actually does for itself. But before I actually put this away, I'm also going to quickly talk about the Super Armored Robot Armed Black Iron Sea. So this card you're already familiar with. I've mentioned it before in one of my very past deck profiles, but you know, in this particular deck, it's one of the reasons why I'm actually playing 3 copies of everything. This is going to utilize that to a very high extent because it needs 3 copies of a particular or specific monster in the grave for him to actually be able to be utilized. So yeah, 1 copy of him is all you need. It pretty much does everything. But yeah, it's what I've added. Should I read out the effect? Maybe I should briefly. So if you have 3 insect monsters with the same name in your graveyard, you can target any number of them, special summon this card from your hand, then equip them to this card. You could send 1 monster equipped to this card by this card's effect to the graveyard, destroy all monsters your opponent controls with attack greater than or equal to the attack of the monster sent to the graveyard. Definitely really amazing because all your crawlers are just weak anyway, so you're going to be getting rid of a lot of things on the board, and this card just really catches people off guard. To say that in a crawler deck, which already catches a lot of people off guard, yeah, that's a lot to say about this particular card here. For the final monster we're actually playing 3 copies here of Tindangle Angel. Yes, this is quite surprising. I actually purposely didn't put it in the title that this would be a crawler Tindangle deck, simply because this is the only Tindangle we're actually playing in the deck. Angel is essentially a fast card to help accelerate the amount of monsters we can just easily bring out on the board. And yeah, I'm really liking Angel in this particular deck, simply because it just summons any flip monster from your hand or graveyard, so it's kind of like having 6 Glyles, if anything, and yeah, I just can't really complain about it. It's an amazing card, and it has the 1800 defense. What more can you ask? Moving on to spells, we're playing 3 copies here of World Legacy Survivor. This card is just a really great searcher. Like I said, I wouldn't really decrease the amount of copies of this card. It's absolutely amazing. However, I did increase the number of copies of World Legacy in Shadow. This card is becoming more prominent simply because I really like the second effect, where I actually can special summon well, not as many, but any crawler I want from my hand as an additional summon. So because of that, the deck is kind of a bit more aggressive, and sometimes the opponent will destroy this when they catch on to that special summoning effect. And yeah, having extra copies, it's good, but also increasing the consistency and the likelihood they would actually have it in the hand is really great as well. Next, we're playing 2 copies of Wormbait. This is pretty common in all my deck profiles. I've really just always played 2 Wormbaits. Enough for me to actually have to go into my fodder or the tokens, but not so much to the point where I might have dead cards in the hand. But that being said, Terraforming acts as the 4th copy of Shadows. We have Caught by the Grave, Mind Control, very common cards, but the extra addition I added is One Day of Peace. Sometimes this deck will still be slow in certain points. It will have that slow game, so when that happens, the One Day of Peace can actually save you for 1 additional turn to draw into just 1 card that could actually save you. As for traps, we're playing 2 copies here of Ponds. I don't really think you need to play additional copies of this, simply because, I don't know, I made Shadows to be the main card that the opponent would want to destroy, so they're least likely to destroy the Ponds. As a result, you don't have to worry too much, but I still keep 1 just in case. And we're also playing 2 copies here of Sorrow. You could add in a 3rd copy by taking out the Axon, because you will be co-linking a bit more in this particular deck. So yeah, it definitely works out quite well here. To finish things off, we're just playing 3 copies here of World Legacy's Mind Meld. This card just changes the opponent's effect, and yeah, it just makes you plus so much in this deck. And considering that you're playing a lot more crawlers in this particular variant, this card is just really good. Alright, so on with the extra deck, we're playing 2 copies here of Quailark. Makes sense, we're playing 2 copies here of Synaphysis, and we're playing 2 copies here of Neurogos. I would never increase this to 3 copies of each. That's just a really bad move, because your extra deck has the potential to actually play good cards that could benefit you a lot more than having 3 copies of each. You're never going to really burn 3 copies of each. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous to actually claim that. So I'm keeping them at 2 each, but I am still playing the Fiendus, I'm still playing the Papillon, and yeah, these cards are just definitely really helpful. They are pretty much at this point becoming staples for the deck itself. I have mentioned quite a few times that I might take out this card, but I don't know, I just still keep it there. If anything, you could take it out, put in a Deco Talker, and yeah, that'd be fine. As for the more fun techs or the technical cards of the deck here, we're also playing the Avramax and we're playing the Borreload. Choose whatever Link 4s you want. Boros, Sword and Appaloosa are probably a lot better for these options, but in this case I'm just going for what I have available, and having 2 Link 4s or 2 big boss monsters to resort to in times of need is something that, I don't know, I mean, I just want to have that extra security just in case something goes wrong and I need to resort to a final big beat stick like one of these two to finish the job for me. We're also playing 1 copy of Tri-Gate Wizard. Co-linking is going to be quite prevalent in this particular deck, so yeah, it's a really amazing card, definitely staying in the deck. We're also playing the Underclock Taker, again, helping with co-linking because it points down or points to the left, which makes it quite amazing because wherever you summon it, you always have that potential for it to be utilized in the most optimal way. We are playing the Mrs. Radiant, although it's a more generic card and the links aren't really going to help with co-linking. Mrs. Radiant just helps you set up your board in preparation for your side linking like these ones here. And finally, to end things off, we're playing the Nightmare Cerberus and the Nightmare Phoenix, just utility cards to help either destroy a spell or trap or to destroy a monster, and you're ditching your crawlers to the graveyard. That's okay because we're playing 2 copies of Ranvier, which allows us to just recover back our crawlers. So this is pretty much it for the whole deck itself. It's a really amazing deck. I really do love this particular build. It's far more consistent than anything else I've actually built, so yeah, definitely give that a go. And if you guys haven't seen my previous deck profiles on this, do still check them out because they're not necessarily like downgrades of this version, it's more so they're just different variants, so they have a different play style. And yeah, it would be quite fun indeed for you guys to actually try out. And if you want more familiarity with this deck, then watch the test hand videos as well. It would definitely help out. However, if you guys found this video helpful, then definitely give it a thumbs up and share it to those who might actually also wonder a bit more about this particular deck. However, don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. This is Will the Reaper, signing out.